Warning: the following podcast show that you're about to listen to will include explicit language and content in which you, the members of the audience, may find offensive. Audience discretion is advised.
Welcome to another episode of the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience.
Yeah, boy.
Where anything and everything is a subject matter on the show, and no subject matter is ever taboo.
Damn, that's what's up with you.
And now, your host with the most, Mr. Kim Hoang. Bro, am I getting paid for this?
And hello, everybody. How in the world are you? This is Kim Hoang, the Asian sensation, and we're back at it again, ladies and gentlemen, for another great episode of the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience. Coming at you live over at the Asian Sensation Studios in the greater Washington, D.C. metropolitan area. And guess what? We are back in the multimedia room, and it's fantastic. It's awesome. Basically everything now is in good order. Everything is sorted out. And it was, a relief to hear that, we no longer needed to be in the beta room, that the multimedia room is now available and it's good. And it's great. It's great to be back in the original spot of our studio. It's great. It's great. And, I got the call actually from Hector, who told me, I got some good news. And guess what, boss? You can come back over in the multimedia room. And, you probably can imagine the happiness and the smile that I had on my face. It was great. It was great. So, we were just able to transfer everything over back into the multimedia room. And here we are now, back in the chair, in the booth. The microphone is on, and we're here. We're having a good time, and we're kicking it. And by the time that you're listening to this, we are actually starting a brand new month of the month of September. So, wow, already 3/4 of the 2024 year has now been completed. And it just makes me think, holy crap, it just seemed like we just started 2024 not too long ago. And it seemed like yesterday the summer actually started, which was fantastic. It was a good time. For the most part here in Washington, D.C., the weather wasn't too bad. Although we did have some moments where it was hot and it was humid and it was unbearable. But, that's what happens when you live in the East Coast, especially around the Atlantic area of the East Coast of the United States, because we're known for our hot humidity. It's terrible. It's just not nice. It's not nice at all. But I'm really looking forward to now that it's being September, which means it's, autumn and fall is really upon us, which means that a few things, cooler weather, which means that we can start wearing hoodies again. It's going to be hoodie wearing season. Pumpkin spice lattes for anybody that is all about, the pumpkin spice thing. Pumpkin spice, coffee, lattes, whatever. The fall of leaves that signifies that it's going to be fall, so it's really awesome. And for us sports buffs, the NFL, yes, American football is back. I have to say American football because we do have international listeners. So when they think of football, they think of to what us Americans we call soccer, but American football, NFL, I'm excited. Baltimore Ravens, I love and support that team. Everybody knows that. And I have high hopes and high expectations for them. So hopefully for the 2024-2025 season, this could be it. This could be our year. This could be our year that we can punch our ticket to the Super Bowl, because last season we did well. We went to the AFC Championships, and it was home in, M&T Bank Stadium in Baltimore, but we just really couldn't pull the trigger. We couldn't cross that finish line, and therefore the Kansas City Chiefs, they went to the Super Bowl, and they won the Super Bowl. So it does leave a little bit of a sour taste in our mouths, but, at the end of the day, it was a good year. it was a good year, I think. So, lots to do today on this episode. Lots going on and so forth. I'm all of a lot of mixed emotions. On one part of it, I'm really sad. On one part of it, I'm really, I don't know if I can say happy, but maybe I'm a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more at peace, if you will. And it's good. I think that as human beings, we're allowed to feel the way that we want to. If you're feeling happy for whatever reason, that's good. If you're feeling sad, you have a right to. There's got to be a good reason behind that, but we get that and we acknowledge that. If you're feeling angry, well, you have a right to do that. We just hope that, whatever it is, that you can work things out. So let me just go ahead and jump into it, because I feel like the longer that I delay this episode of the podcast, I'm not going to go anywhere with it. So I want to start out with something that recently happened in the world of the martial arts, a real sad thing that happened recently. On the date of August the 20th, 2024, the martial arts world lost a very, very beautiful person and one of the toughest warriors out there to ever have graced the martial arts ring, where legendary martial artist slash competitor, fighter, Marcella Byrd of Washington, D.C. passed away. For those that didn't know who Marcella was a student of Ki Wang Kim, coming out of the famous Kim studio based out of the Washington, D.C. area. And she had trained under, that school and under Ki Wang Kim back in the 1970s, I do believe. In the 1970s, that's, where she began her martial arts training career. And through the ranks and everything, and under Ki Wang Kim, she became a fifth degree black belt. But when she passed, she actually passed away as a grandmaster. She is affectionately known throughout Kim's studio as Lady Byrd. And her passion for the art was so profound that she won a lot of tournaments and garnered hundreds of trophies and was considered one of the top ranked competitors, in the country during that time frame. And her achievements included winning grand champion 5 years in a row in the women's division, and that she won the world famous S. Henry Cho's All-American Open in Madison Square Garden in New York from what I understood, 9 times. She basically, during the 1980s, dedicated herself to spirituality. She found a relationship with God. Now, I know what you're saying, Kim. You usually say you don't like to talk about religion and or politics. I'm not talking about religion like, scripture or anything like that. I'm just talking about the fact that Marcella found, she found God. And she became very religious, and she was all about that. And I think that was really cool. And I think it's just incredible when you find something that meant a lot to you, it just becomes a part of you. And that was what religion is for Marcella. It became a part of her. And it was really, really great. According to what I read online through social media, Marcella basically passed away because complications with her diabetes. It was like, something that was associated with that. And when I found out about that, my heart sank for her. It sank for her, it sank for her family, and it sank for everybody that she knew, including her fellow students at the Kim Studio Martial Arts School. And I just thought, wow, we lost one. We lost a real good one, and at so young too, because she passed away at the age of 61. So to me, I feel like that was really, really young. I had the chance and the honor to attend Marcella Byrd's funeral. And I have to say that was a very great service. It was a beautiful service. A lot of people sharing their thoughts about Marcella and her life and her legacy, acknowledging her martial arts, knowledge and her skill and her accolades. Also acknowledging about, her being very religious and how she really dedicated her life to it, and, dedicated her life to help improve the lives of young people with, the power of religion and with the power of the martial arts. And I thought that was really, really cool, and I heard so many great stories. Like one story I heard, that she at one point said, and I'm actually paraphrasing it from the KimHoangMDActor, association website, where Albert Cheeks was talking about her and said that, that she had claimed that the women's division was too easy, and that this one year at S. Henry Cho's tournament in Madison Square Garden, she said that she wanted to fight the men. And KimHoangMDActor said, well, are you sure about that? To which she replied, yes, because, I trained with Mike Warren and Albert Cheeks, so Albert Cheeks also had said that, so we trained with her on really just how to not take direct shots, but how to slip and move. She took second place in the lightweight men's division, and when the men found out that a woman was entering the men's division, they were like, no, because we're going to hit her like a man. And Albert Cheeks replied back, and she's going to hit you like a lady, which was really, really wild. Let's see. Usually in these type of situations when it comes to funerals, they usually have a thing sometimes where if anybody out there in the public would want to, say something about Marcella, they could have walked over to the microphone and said something. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. But, that doesn't mean that I couldn't say anything, which I'm about to, and I just want to share a very, good moment that at least I had with Marcella. And I can explain how that happened. Years ago when I was a young child, training in the martial arts. I think at the time maybe I was like a yellow belt. I think I was. Marcella Byrd actually came over to the school where I was training at. And, she actually trained at the same school that my teacher trained at. Matter of fact, that they were students together. And, Marcella was, training with my teacher. I think the story goes is that, from what I remember, is that she wasn't training for a while. And she wanted to get back into the swing of things because, there was a couple of, tournaments that she wanted to compete in, because she hadn't competed in a while. She hadn't trained in a while. But, with her determination and her warrior spirit, she wanted to go for it. And she did. And one time when I did see her, I didn't recognize her because, obviously she wasn't wearing, our school uniform. She was wearing a all white uniform, and on the back of it, it said Ki Wong Kim, and it just had like a some kind of a cool logo or design. And she was like wearing this rectangular patch or something like that was in the front of her uniform. And when I asked who she was, my master's son, the eldest son, who was my best friend, said, "Oh, that's Marcella Byrd. She came from the Kim Studio. She came from the Kim Studio School in Silver Spring, Maryland, and she's a legend. Like, she can fight. She's really, really good." And I said, "Wow, that's pretty cool." So I walked over there, and I like tugged on her uniform. Kid. You're a kid at that time, so you're just like, you tug on the uniform, like, tunk tunk tunk. And she was like, "Oh, hello, sweetie. How you doing?" And I just said, "Hi. My name is Kim." And she said, "Hello, I'm Marcella. I know your teacher. We were training together in Kim's studio. And I'm just here, just kind of, training here and just hanging out and so forth. And that's what I'm doing." And I told her, I remember saying that, one day, I'm going to be a black belt and I'm going to get one of those. And I was pointing to her belt, and I'll never forget, what Marcella said. She said, "Sweetie, you can do whatever that you want, you can go ahead and do anything that you put your mind to. Just remember that, in order to get this black belt, to earn it, that it's going to take a lot of hard work and a lot of dedication, because, the black belt's not going to be given to you. You have to earn it. But I believe that you have the potential and you can do anything that you want." And afterwards, I just, after hearing that, I kind of smiled, like, wow, that's really cool. And I just went over and I gave her a hug, and she gave me a hug, and and she gave like one of those good hugs. Like, it wasn't like one of those fake hugs. You're like, oh, this was a nice, genuine hug. She really seemed to care and so forth, and it was awesome. Now, I never kept up with Marcella, years later down the road, because, we just kind of lost contact. But I always, remembered her, and I always remembered, all the great things that I heard about her, and everything that was said on her at her funeral. All the testimonials. It kind of solidified, like, how awesome she was. And I learned a lot of things that I never learned about, And it really saddens me when, someone as awesome as Marcella, a living legend, has passed on in life, because they usually say, and it's so true, when one person passes away, there's never going to be another. That's like saying that there's never going to be like another Muhammad Ali. You know what I mean? That there's just no way. There's no way possible. There's never going to be another Muhammad Ali. Just like, in the acting world, like, Matthew Perry from Friends, there's never going to be another Matthew Perry, acting wise and so forth. And to a person to, probably take over the role as Chandler. No, there's never going to be another. So to me, there's never going to be another Marcella Byrd. She has really, literally touched the lives of so many, within the martial arts community, especially in Kim's studio, within, her work with the church, being very spiritual. And, my thoughts and prayers are with everybody, anybody that trained with her in Kim's studio, that knew her at Kim's studio, anybody that knew her personally, including family members and friends. My heart is with them, and I pray for everybody, and the only thing I have to say now is that Marcella is now, no more battle. She's no more. She's not in a situation anymore where she's battling pain. There's no, suffering. There's no complication of diabetes. There's none of that. She's just flying high with the angels, and training every day, and she's probably reunited with a lot of loved ones, including the late Grandmaster Kim. She's probably reunited with everybody there in the afterlife. And the only thing I have to say is, rest in peace, fly high, and we love you, Lady Byrd. We love you. You left an incredible impact in the world, and a legacy that will not be matched by anybody. And we just appreciate all that you did in this life and what you taught us. The messages that you have spoke about. We're going to take it with us. And I think that's all I have to say about that, at least for this moment in time. So what we're going to do is that we're going to go ahead and take a little bit of a break. We're going to take 5. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about some other stuff on the next segment of the podcast show. And also, we're also going to do, as always, another Q&A session, question and answer. You're going to love it. So guys, just stay tuned. Do your thing. Go to the kitchen, get some water, or just answer some texts, or just do what you got to do. But come back, because the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience will be coming back in full force, ready to go, and you don't want to miss out. All right, we will see y'all in a bit.
Ever wanted to make a podcast but didn't know how to do it or where to go? Does the idea of pursuing podcasting sounds great, but you're afraid of the expenses that you have to invest in? Then look no further than Spotify for Podcasters. They have the tools that you need to create the perfect podcast episode that you want, whether if you want to create it in an audio and or video podcasting form. To those that already podcast, Spotify for Podcasters can help you upload your already completed audio/video podcasts to all of the podcasting platforms that you have a membership to. And the best part is that this is 100% free. No hidden costs, no monthly fees, because you don't have to give them your credit card information, and because Spotify for Podcasters want to help by giving back to everybody. So check them out at podcasters.spotify.com and download their app for free on the Google Play Store and or the Apple App Store. Spotify for Podcasters.
And now, back to the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience with your host, Kim Hoang.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience. We are here. We're back. We're ready for round 2. It is awesome. We're just glad that we're here. And I hope that during intermission, you guys did exactly what you needed to do, whether if it was to answer a phone call, a text, or if you need to go over to the restroom, or if you needed to go over and get a glass of water or get something to eat. I just hope that you did it and that you were comfortable and you were good and everything was great. I actually got a phone call, believe it or not. It was quite shocking. I got a phone call from my supervisor from my day job, my new job. And he actually told me, he said, "Hey, I just wanted to give you a call reminding you that on Monday, which is Labor Day, we are not going to be open. So, don't go to work. Just go ahead and enjoy yourself. Enjoy your day off, because everybody here and everybody over at the brother company is going to be having a day off. They're shutting down operations for the day. And you can just go ahead and do whatever it is that you want." And I was like, oh, wow. I kind of knew that I was going to have a day off. I just totally forgot because,
working the new position in the new job, it's been good. It's really been good. And I know that I actually talked about it, believe it or not. I believe that I talked about it recently on an episode on the podcast. And if I remember correctly, I think that it was one of their most recent episodes. I think it was on episode 29, where I was talking about the fact that I was working a new job now, that I got hired, and I started working it since August the 12th, I believe. Like August the 12th, August the 12th is when I actually started. And it's been good. It's been good. I don't want to get too much into it other than the fact that, I'm just beginning to learn a little bit more of my job. I'm doing the very best that I can. And according to which, I'm doing okay. There seems to, be a situation where, at least as far as I know, there's nothing going on. Everything's happening. People are happy with what I'm doing. There's no complaints. It's wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful. So all I got to say is, yeah, I'm feeling pretty good, and I'm walking on sunshine. Or if I'm not, I'm walking anywhere else. There you go. So let's go ahead and get into the second round of the podcast episode today, or the, our second segment. And I wanted to go ahead and dig deep a little bit. A while ago, I went over and I talked a little bit about a situation where, for the first time in quite a while, I had a panic attack. And this was very recent. This was on episode 31. I talked about that. And, I don't really want to get into it specifically. All I know is there is a close knit unit in my circle. And within that close circle, only those individuals that I talk to know specifically what happened. And they get it. For those that don't really know specifically what happened, I'd rather not explain it. All I can say is that the signs are there, the dots are on the wall, all you have to do is connect it. But, it was really, really terrible. And it was to a point that, I didn't really know what was going on, how to navigate it, because I didn't think that, with being a person that has anxiety and depression, that all of a sudden that having a panic attack would be right there in the mix. I was really concerned because I just didn't know what was going to happen. Now, I'm not saying that I was going to have like an act of dismemberment, because I feel like I'm very strong and, I don't go down without a fight. But, like I said before, things have happened. You know what I mean? Things have really happened. And it was to a point where, when I was talking to one of my friends that kind of go through the same thing, that particular friend said, you know what? You really need to check out NAMI. And NAMI is the acronym NAMI stands for the National Alliance on Mental Illness. And he said, go over to the NAMI website, NAMI.org, and I will leave information on the show notes. And he said, you should really check this out because they're really good. They're a great group of people to talk to. You can actually go ahead and join their online support group and interact with them, because there are facilitators that are there every week, and they will go ahead and listen to you and talk to the group, and
and so forth. And it's really an amazing situation. Now, at first, when my friend talked to me about that, it's not like I was trying to disqualify what he had to say because, he's a good friend. And I know that he has my best interest in heart or at heart. But I wasn't quite sold on it. Not 100%. I was like, maybe. I don't know. I mean, I get what you're saying and I understand about this group and I think it's cool. But I don't know yet. And then later on that day, I saw a sign because I was going online on YouTube and I was checking out like past episodes of Young Sheldon because that's my favorite TV show, Young Sheldon and The Big Bang Theory. And when I looked under a couple of videos on Young Sheldon, all of a sudden they had a NAMI commercial that was actually the speaker on the commercial was Zoe Perry, the woman who actually plays Sheldon's mom on Young Sheldon. And she was actually making a commercial and talking about, NAMI and, talking about the importance of mental health. And if something's going on and you need a support system and you need to go and rely with the support group, that you should actually go to NAMI.org and find out more information. And I was like, I'm sold. So it's really awesome because you have a chance to actually either, at least from where I was going with it, because there's different chapters. Obviously, if you go to NAMI.org, you want to go into that website and then go all the way to the right that says find your local NAMI. And from there, you can go ahead and click on the state that you live in. In this case, we're in the Washington, D.C. area. So I just picked the Maryland state. And then from there, it just gives you a lot of affiliates. In this case, specifically, NAMI affiliates in the state of Maryland. And because we're in Washington, D.C., we're kind of technically around Montgomery County, Maryland. I checked on Montgomery County, Maryland, went over there, went over to their website that's kind of underneath their physical address in Rockville, Maryland, which is NAMIMC.org, which stands for NAMI Montgomery County. And then from there, I actually saw, a lot of different types of, resources. I went over and I checked it out and I see what was going on. I went to the support group section. And then under where it says NAMI Connection Recovery Support Group, I actually clicked on the thing that says to learn more and register. And then from there, I saw there was a lot of options. Every Monday, Tuesday, and certain Thursdays, they do have virtual, support groups that you can tune in and go on Zoom. And then you can go to an in-person group session, which happens, every 2 weeks. Now, I don't know if that's a thing that happens for every chapter of, every county in the state of Maryland or any other state for that matter. I'm just letting you know what happens over at the Montgomery County, Maryland chapter of NAMI. Now, the thing about it is that you need to make sure that, when you do it like this, you want to go ahead and you have to reserve it. You have to reserve a time to get in there because, it's not one of those things like in person. You can't just walk in there and just, go in there. You have to reserve your spot. Same thing like going on virtually. You have to go in and reserve your spot. Pick a date that actually works better for you and the method. And then just go ahead and fill in your information. And hopefully when you reserve, you'll be able to get in because there is a limit. I believe it's 15 people are allowed to be in the virtual, just like the 15 people are allowed to be in person. I did like the in-person for the fact that it is like its namesake. It's in person and you get to interact with people in real time and talk to people and actually, see their emotions right then and there physically. And at the same time, the conversations happens in real time. But the virtual one is not that bad because obviously I'm in my confines in my home. When a meeting is done, I'm already at home. It's incredible. If I need to excuse myself, I can just go ahead and put me on mute and I can go ahead and, pause the video and I can just do whatever I need to do. Virtual, you just need to have Zoom, you need to either use a computer or a smartphone or a smart tablet. In person, you just have to arrive. Each of the sessions are 90 minutes. They start, at least from what I'm seeing right now, 7 p.m. until 8:30 p.m. And I think it's really, really cool. Now, what works better for you, that's really up to your situation of whether or not, if you actually like going in person. If you like going in person, I definitely would recommend it. I think it's great. But just know that the in-person part, once again, is every 2 weeks. The virtual happens about like every week. So it really just, it all depends on the situation. There could be some people that do like going in person and being very sociable. There might be some people that are just like, that's just not for me. And I'd rather just, go ahead and just be, virtual and just stay at home where I'm comfortable. Which either way, any way that you slice it, it works, and that's fine. There's no judgment and, you just do what you do. And without going too much into it, because I don't really want to air out like anything I'm not supposed to air out due to confidentiality. But the format is that you go in, you report in. You try to get in there as early as you can. So like for the virtual, I would definitely say if you can report in at 6:30, you're golden. You know what I mean? At least you know that, you're reporting in and so forth, and you're just waiting for the facilitator to come in and to start the program. Same thing with in person. You want to try to get there as early as possible. Although the one time that I went, the facilitators didn't get in until like maybe 7:01. So, that was a little bit of a disadvantage there. Maybe it could be a little bit better when, the next time I come there, but, we'll see. But you go in, they start the program, they start the meeting, they greet everybody, they tell you about the rules and regulations, and they also tell everybody that, what happens in here is strictly confidential and so forth. Everybody then at that point checks in and they greet everybody and they just talk for a little bit, for a little bit of an icebreaker. And then that's it. At that point, it's like, okay, we're going to talk about like whatever it is that concerns you. If you don't have any concerns and you just want to chill and listen and just interact when you feel like it, sure, go right ahead. But, if there's anything that people want to talk about, they talk about it all. If you want to talk about depression, you can talk about depression. If you want to talk about anxiety, you can talk about anxiety. If you want to talk about panic attacks, you can talk about panic attacks. Some people talk about other things that are associated with mental health that may not be, like it doesn't affect that one person, but it may affect them, but they still want to talk about it. And that's cool. What I like about the program is that NAMI is one of those organizations that when you actually are there and you're interacting, there is no judgment. You know what I mean? It's not like one of those things where like, your problem is not as big as my problem, so therefore your problem is disqualified. No, there's no judgment. And there's a thing where like, we're all very supportive of each other. We want each other to be good and in a good spot, in a good place. We don't want any of us to feel like, we're suffering in silence and you can't do anything. No, we're here for each other. And I think that's the most incredible thing. And I think this is great just for the situation that if you're trying to get better, having a good support group system really helps out. Now, I know that people say, hey, but I'm already getting professional help by a professional that is specializing in this type of situation. And I don't disqualify that, because you get your help and your treatment any which way that you can. But to know that you're doing a thing where it's a support group and you're really you're getting as much as support as you can with this situation, I think it's incredible. I think it's awesome. And I think that, honestly, I think this thing really should have happened sooner. I mean, I don't know when specifically that, something like this ever happened, but I'm just glad that it is. And I'm glad that, this is a great resource. And the best part about it is that when you do a support group program, whether if it's virtual or in person, it's 100% absolutely free, because they basically work through a system where this program keeps going because of the generous donations that people give to this program, this national program. And it helps out a lot. It really does. And, I'm just really glad to be a part of it. And it's really cool. I understand that this organization of NAMI is a nonprofit, so they're not making any money out of it. They're not. They're just making sure that people are okay, that they're in a good spot, and that everything is just, that everything is kosher and everything is good in your life. And I think that's what it's all about. It just really, it just really gets me a little bit upset, and it just, just burns my britches, if you will, when people just don't understand about what's going on with these things. And people are very insensitive. And people say stuff like, oh, it's all in your head. And that, just because they would say something like, I never heard of it. So it just means that, to me, that you're lying and you're BSing. And all this stuff that you're telling me is just made up and a whole rack full of lies, which is absolutely not true. Because just because you never heard about it, or just because you never knew that it doesn't exist, doesn't mean it's not true. And number two, we're in a situation where, we're just trying to get through life without any of the negativity or bad juju, if you will. And I think NAMI does a good job in, facilitating, once again, a program where you get the support and help that you need through your peers. And together, you guys will understand certain things and learn stuff about different types of situations of mental health and so forth, and talk a little bit and have, an opinion or two about the situation. Now, these guys aren't like professional medical, specialists. They're just peers, helping you out, taking their time out of their busy schedule to make sure that you're okay and that you're in a good headspace. And God, God bless them, man. That's awesome. That is absolutely awesome. You know what I mean? I really can't say anything else other than the fact that that is a great thing that they're doing, and I salute them 100%. 100%. So let me go ahead and take a moment to, say that we are going to take a break. There's a lot that we're going to be doing in the next segment, because coming up, the world famous Q&A session. That's right, the question and answer session. It is back. It is back, and we are happy and we are glad. And we got a good bunch of questions that I'm going to answer, and you want to stick around for that, because it's going to be good, guys. I can't wait. So, guys, do what you need to do. Take a break. Go ahead and get a breather. Step outside and breathe. Do whatever that you need to do. But come right back, because the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience is coming back in full force. And we're just getting ready to rock and roll and do what we do best. Stay tuned, guys. We'll be back. In life, we all want to have great health and excellent physical fitness. However, it's never given, only earned. That said, if you want to go to a gym that will help you to get there, then look no further than Kicked Up Fitness at National Business Parkway in Annapolis Junction, Maryland. Their mission at Kicked Up is to provide the ultimate functioning training facility that focuses solely on your success, with a diverse team that's highly qualified and dedicated to taking your fitness goals to the next level. Kicked Up also offers a variety of group classes and personal training programs that provide something for everyone, regardless of your fitness level. They believe in working hard, achieving results, all while having fun. So come visit their facility in person, which is located at 114 National Business Parkway, Suite 100 in Annapolis Junction, Maryland, 20701. Now, if you see my friend Sean Queen, who's the owner of Kicked Up, tell him that Benny Chow of Miscalculated sent you, and he'll hook you up with a complimentary 7-day pass just to try it out. Need more info? Give him a call. 410-888-9066. Email them at kufitnessnbp@gmail.com or visit them at their website at www.kufitnessnbp.com. Kicked Up Fitness. Never given, only earned.
And now, back to the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience with your host, Kim Hoang.
All right, everybody, what is going on? Welcome back to the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience. This is it, ladies and gentlemen. We made a great episode, and it was cool, and it was awesome, and I really liked it. I really enjoy these moments of creating great content for you guys, and just, me being me, and me just embracing the creativity, the process of it, and just having a ball. You know what I mean? Having a ball. So, in that respect, I want to say thank you so much to everybody for just allowing me to be myself and allowing me to do what I do for your listening pleasure. I really do appreciate it. Before we get everything underway, we have a little bit of a reminder that, ladies and gentlemen, the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience is asking for assistance on a voluntary basis to anyone out there, anybody that that listens to the show, any of the audience out there that would like to assist, to our podcast show by the ways of sponsorship and or donate financially to the podcast to help make the quality of our podcast a lot better. Any and all proceeds that we do raise will go to getting more equipment and better equipment that we need in order to improve the quality of our podcast. And by the equipment, we mean specifically such as extra microphones for our in-studio guests, the XLR cables that are required for those type of microphones, extra headphones for our in-studio guests, and et cetera, things even like, getting a new computer like a MacBook Pro or something like that, so that we can actually have up-to-date programming and apps and whatnot, and a up-to-date interface in order to help create that content. You know what I mean? And whatever it is that you can donate is appreciated. No matter the how much of the value that you donate. And this is the inside joke. I usually say, if you want to donate $5 million, that's awesome. I think it would be great, but I don't think anybody would invest or donate that much. You know what I mean? But if you want to, give as much as you can, that's cool. It could be a big amount. It could be even a small amount, like even as much as $5. Every little bit helps, and we do appreciate that. And you can make a donation
through the following. You can either, send it via PayPal and or Venmo. We also have CashApp. Now, if you're trying to do PayPal and or Venmo, you can look us up under our screen name, which is at KimHoangMDActor. That's at KimHoangMDActor, or on Cash App, $KimHoangMDActor. That's once again $KimHoangMDActor. Wow, that was a lot. That was a lot that I had to explain there, but I think that was pretty cool. That was really awesome. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we are here for the main event of this podcast. Your favorite segment in mine, the world famous Q&A session, folks. That's right, the question and answer form of the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience. 7 questions. You asked it. We are going to answer it. And we do appreciate everybody that has either emailed us their questions or sent their questions on Twitter, now known as X. We also really appreciate the fact that you've actually been compliant in sending us questions that does not have to do with religion and or politics. As you guys know, we've expressed our opinions about that. We don't really favor those type of questions. So the fact that you made it a little bit easy for us just to, address these questions without that type of subject matter, we truly appreciate it. So here we go. 7 questions. Ding, ding, ding. The bell has rung and we are ready to go. Question number 1. Kim, how does it make you feel when you ask someone to be a guest on your podcast show and they say no? Does this get you mad? Amelia from El Segundo, California. Well, Amelia, I would say more likely that, I'm not mad or upset, but I'm more disappointed because I have it in my mind and I'm very invested in it, where if I'm talking to a person and asking them to be a guest on my show, I'm hoping that they would, because they're giving a guy a chance to really get the podcast name out there by just interacting and being a part of the show, and they benefit because we're giving them the publicity. There's going to be some reasons why, though, that people, when you ask them, they're going to say no. Maybe it's just they feel like it's not for them. They feel uncomfortable with the idea, and they just like their privacy. Maybe just people just don't, they're not interested. In that sense, you just have to respect it and just say, you know what, we understand. We don't want to be that type of person or that type of organization, or in this case, we don't want to be that type of podcast to really be overbearing and enforce you to do it. And we want you to do it because you want to do it, that you'll make time for us, that you have the time, and that you realize the great potential out of this, that you're putting yourself out there and you're endorsing yourself, and you're letting people know more about you. And it benefits us because, again, we're a podcast show and we're getting our stuff out there, and it creates great content, and it also creates a great moment between host and the guest. So, not mad, not ticked off or angry, just disappointed. You know what I mean? But I think that's understandable. Question number 2, Kim, are you more of a swimming pool guy or are you a beach kind of guy? Dina from Tempe, Arizona. This is unfair because I really like both. I really like both the beach and I like the swimming pool. If I had to pick one, I'd probably say I like the beach because I'm more with the elements and I'm out there in the sand and hanging out and so forth. But if the beach is not, if it's not possible because, maybe it's weather inclement is bad,
or it's just a day that, I can't make it, I'm not going to throw away the idea of going to a swimming pool. You know what I mean? I think it's great. Either way, I think that whoever it might be, whether if they like beaches or a swimming pool, I think you benefit either way. You know what I mean? Because eventually you'll go in the water, you'll hang out, you'll have fun, and that's just the thing. That's what we do. Question number 3, Kim. You have been a big, huge advocate on Shure microphones. Why are they worth the hype? Guillermo from San Angelo, Texas. Guillermo, it's quite simple, man. I like Shure microphones because they are just amazing to me. They are a great piece of equipment, top quality for the price. You know what I mean? I believe it's worth the hype, and I can just say this. I have invested in a Shure microphone to use for the primary recording method of my podcast. Like, I use that microphone, the MV7. And let me tell you something. I've had that puppy for 4 years, and it still keeps going. It keeps going and going and going. It is literally like that microphone is a stud, and it is a serious workhorse, and I love it. And when I hear the playback, of what I recorded with that microphone, with that Shure microphone, I'm just impressed on how clear it sounds and how wonderful it is. So, yeah, I mean, of course I'm going to go ahead and sing the praises. Now, I know a lot of people are just like, wow, Shure microphones are, expensive and whatnot. Well, I mean, it does cost a pretty penny, but I figure that if you're going to invest in a good company for microphone usage, I definitely think that Shure is the best way to go, because in the end, when you buy something, when you invest in something that's that is that good, you end up saving more in the long run, as opposed to buying a microphone from Amazon Prime that nobody's ever heard of, that's probably like $30, that'll probably break down 6 months later. So that's my opinion on that. Question number 4, Kim, what are your opinions on men and women not wanting children? Calvin from Columbus, Ohio. Calvin, I don't think that it's a wrong thing. There are many reasons why kids, don't want to have children. Maybe they feel like at this time in their life, they're not ready for it. They're not prepared. Some may think that, they just don't want to have that type of responsibility ever in life. And, and that's fine. I don't really judge on that. And it takes a person of strong character to really admit that kind of a situation, and that's cool. It's totally cool. If that's not, for all the women and all the men out there, if that's not your thing, that's nothing to be ashamed of. You made a conscious decision. You made a choice for you, and that's it. You're just hoping for people to actually be supportive of that decision that you made and not be vilified because of some reason, like, oh, but you're supposed to have kids and, whatnot and blah, 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 blah. No, what you're supposed to do is just enjoy your life and live it the best way that you can without any harsh judgment or criticism. You know what I mean? So, if that's a situation that doesn't bother you and you're willing to live with that, decision, bless you for it. That's cool. I got no beef with that. So, yeah. Question number 5, Kim, when people have a certain way of thinking for so long, can they change? Angela from New Hope, Pennsylvania. Angela, this is a very hard question. It's a good one, but it's a hard one because this is my opinion. I think in general, I think people can change. They have the potential to, But I think the real question is that, do they really want to? When you change your way of thinking, it makes you a little bit more open-minded and you're not so closed off. When you don't change your opinions and you stick to your guns, you just, keep on thinking the way that you want to think for the longest time. And that will never change unless you make that change happen. Change is not always a bad thing, ladies and gentlemen. It really isn't. And that's all I'm going to say. I'm very much a person where, I can change my way of thinking very easily, when it comes to certain things. And I think it's made me a better person for it. And I just hope that, if that's the case with other people, I just hope that they feel the same way. Question number 6. Kim, would you consider getting more tattoos? James from Coleman, Alabama. I did not know that there was a town called Coleman, Alabama. All right. James, I'm going to put it to you like this, buddy. I still have a lot of prime real estate on my body to get tattoos. So, all I can say is never say never. It is true about the stereotype that once you get one tattoo, you're probably going to get a lot. And yeah, what became one tattoo for me became a lot of tattoos. It started off as a shoulder tattoo, and then we did the other shoulder, and then we started making, 2 upper sleeve tattoos, maybe a tattoo on the collarbone and on my ribs. So there's definitely a lot that's going on. And I don't regret it. I think that, it was going to happen at a certain point. But, whether or not if I would get like another one, I would love to. I think I wouldn't close the door on that idea. But we got to see. There's a lot of factors into it. What I want to get, where I want to place it. If I can place it in a certain part of my body, would it be able to fit? Getting the money, because getting tattooed is quite the expense. It's a lot going on there, because you're paying for something that's permanent, that's going to stick around forever. So yeah, that's all I'm going to have to say about that. Yeah. Last but not least, the final question number 7. Kim, what are your hopes for your podcast show? Roberta from Ocala, Florida. Roberta, it's really simple. I want my podcast to succeed. I want people to go ahead and listen to it. I want people to go ahead and like and subscribe to it. I want to build a strong following. I want the people that like and subscribe to my podcast to tell their friends about it, and to get it out there by word of mouth or by social media or any means to have this podcast to grow. And maybe one day, I don't know, but maybe if it's good enough, I would like to have it to be famous worldwide. Like the Joe Rogan podcast or the Steve Harvey podcast, because those guys are really good at what they do. And I think I think anything and everything can happen. Everything and anything has potential. So I'm going to stop it right there. I want to leave it on a good note. That being said, ladies and gentlemen, we are running out of time, and that's it. That's all. Obviously, you can find us on any social media platform, like on Facebook. You can go under the search box and type in the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience. Hit the search, button. You'll find us. Just like us and follow us. You know what I mean? You can also find us on Instagram and Twitter, Twitter, now known as X, formerly known as Twitter. But again, for those that are, wondering what X is, it's Twitter. You can find me under at TKHPC Experience. Once again, that's at TKHPC Experience. All in one word, lowercase letters. Follow me and I'll follow you back. you can also do us a solid favor, which is, number one, like and subscribe to our podcast on all the podcast platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, YouTube Music, and Audible, which is a platform for all podcasts that you can listen to, and the audiobooks powered by Amazon, which is $15 a month. You can actually sign up by going to audible.com and get a free trial membership for 1 week. If you'd like it, you can keep it and pay a $15 a month membership fee. So how about that? Like and subscribe to it on all those platforms. Do me a favor, do me a solid. If you have Spotify and or Apple Podcasts, this is where you can help us out. On Spotify, please give us a 5-star ranking. On Apple Podcasts, give us a 5-star ranking and a positive written review. Because the more times that you actually do that for Spotify and for Apple Podcasts, then the more times that the podcast can actually go to the front of the page and people will see it and they'll go, dude, that is the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience. I remember that Mandy was telling me about this and, she likes it. Maybe I should give it a shot. Yes, give it a shot. Like it, subscribe to it. Let it be known. Also, do me a favor. Tell your friends about it. On social media, whether if it's on Facebook, Instagram, whether if it's on Twitter, now known as X, if it's on Snapchat, if it's on TikTok, let the people know. Let the people know. And share this with everybody face to face by word of mouth. Sharing is caring. This is what we call brand awareness. It really helps out, guys. It really does. Last but not least, if you want to be a part of our show, whether if you want to be a special guest host, if you have any questions that you want to submit to our Q&A form, and or if you have any constructive criticism, email us. You can email us at thekimhoangpodcastexperience@gmail.com. That's thekimhoangpodcastexperience@gmail.com. Whatever the subject is, put the subject in there in that box. Whatever you want to talk about, put it in the body of the email. And then, that's it. Just send it out. I'll get the email. I'll read it. And I'll probably respond back within a day or two because I do like that type of communication and correspondence, and I love getting emails, so why not? Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. That's it. That's all that we got. We really appreciate your time, and we really appreciate your love and support. Keep on spreading the word about the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience, and just know that we're doing this for you guys. Yes, we are doing it for me, and I'm doing it because I like it. But at the end of the day, it's all for you guys. You guys motivate me, and you guys, help me keep it going. So that's all I have to say. So that being said, for the one time, coming all the way from the Asian Sensation Studios in our multimedia room, located over in the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area. This is your boy, Kim Hoang, the Asian Sensation, your host with the most, saying thank you so much. God bless y'all. We really appreciate it. We want you to be safe out there because, number one, it doesn't do us any good if you put yourself in any danger. We don't want that because if that does happen, chances are you might be in a pine box 6 feet under, which we don't want you to do. We want you to be healthy and happy, and we want you to live life because you deserve it. You deserve the happiness and a whole lot more. And number two, let's just really be nice to each other. Let's be respectful to each other. Let's show each other a lot of love and support rather than hate, because it takes a lot less energy to love and support people than wasting all of your energy hating and spreading negativity, because that shouldn't be the way that it is in life. We should love life. We should appreciate it. We should live for it. And that's all. You know what I mean? And that's it. Guys, I love you very much. Thank you very much. We will look forward to being with you again in the future. Until then, Be safe, be happy, do you, and we'll see you again on another episode of the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience. I love you guys. Be good. Peace.